Good morning, friends. Welcome to another episode of Wesley's Food Den. Today, I'll be making tofu biryani. This is a beautiful dish for vegans, vegetarians, or those wanting to have a meat-free day. For this, you will need 400 grams of hard tofu, 300 grams of black chickpeas. I am using the can. 400 grams of chopped cabbage, 100 grams of chopped carrots, 1 large chopped onion, 2 large chopped potatoes in wedges, 2 teaspoons of ginger garlic paste, half a cup of chopped tomato, a few dried chillies, half a bowl of soaked cashew nuts, which I will be using to make our paste. For our whole spices, you will need a few bay leaf, 1 star aniseed, and 3 green cardamom pods. You will also need 2 cinnamon sticks and 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds, fennel seeds, 2 or 3 cloves. You will need 1 teaspoon of mixed herbs. You will need 2 teaspoons of vegan butter. You will need 1/4 teaspoon of egg yellow for our potatoes. And for our ground spices, you'll need a teaspoon of coriander and cumin, a teaspoon of red kashmiri powder, a teaspoon of red chili powder, and half a teaspoon of turmeric. You will also need salt to taste and oil. And as this is a biryani and rice is the main feature of this dish, you will need 2 cups of basmati rice. This basmati rice will be cooked for about 10 to 12 minutes till the rice is about 80% cooked, because I will be putting this in the oven to steam. And lastly, you will need 100 ml of boiled water infused with saffron strands. Now this will give the biryani a lovely color and a lovely fragrance as well. And a bunch of chopped coriander for garnish. Now the first step in making our biryani is to get our whole spices ready. And for this, I have heated a pan and I am adding in my whole spices. That's a teaspoonful of coriander seeds, cumin, fennel, a few cloves and cinnamon stick. Also, a few bay leaf, 1 star aniseed, and 3 pods of cardamom. And you need to let this dry roast for about a few minutes. And as soon as the aroma starts to release, you know this is ready. And once this is ready, I will be grinding them to a fine powder. My whole spice has been ground. And I also made a paste with my cashew nuts, and this will be kept aside until I'm ready to use it. I am now going to prepare my potatoes, which I am going to roast in the oven. And I will put salt on my potatoes, and I will sprinkle a 1/4 spoon of egg yellow coloring, and a teaspoon of olive oil. And I will give this a good mix, and I will put this to roast in the oven until the potatoes are cooked. That should take about 25 to 30 minutes. My potatoes have been put in the oven to roast, and just a quick disclaimer, I did say I'm using egg yellow food coloring. Now, egg yellow is just the name of the color, and this is a vegan dish. There are no eggs in this dish. Now, I will be frying my tofu, and you will have to use hard tofu for this. Otherwise, the soft tofu will just disintegrate. And I have coated my tofu with cornflour so it does not stick to the pan, and it will give it a nice crunch on the outside. So I will be frying this on either side until it is golden brown. Now my tofu has been frying for about 6 minutes on either side, and I don't want it to get too crispy, otherwise it will not absorb the sauce when I put it into the biryani. So I will be removing this, and it is nice and firm, so it will not disintegrate when I do add it to the biryani. I have removed my tofu from the oil, and now I will proceed to make the biryani. And I'm using the remainder of the oil from the tofu, and I will be adding in my chopped onions, and I will let that fry for a few minutes. My onions are almost browned, and I don't want it completely browned. And to this, I will be turning my heat down a bit first and foremost. And then I will be adding in my ginger and garlic paste. And I will stir that in. And to this, adding in my curry leaves, and now my spices, half a teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder, 1 teaspoon of red curry powder, and a teaspoon of coriander and cumin powder, and my ground spice. I'll be adding all of it. Give that a good mix. And to this, I will add in my tomatoes, and I will let this cook for a few minutes. My tomato has been cooking for about 5 minutes now, and to this I'll be adding in my mixed herbs and my cashew paste. Now you can add a little water to get all the cashew paste out. You don't want to waste any. So you give that a good mix. And now I will add in my mixed veggies, adding in my carrots and my cabbage. I'm going to let this cook for a few minutes. The cabbage will release a lot of water, so you need that to reduce completely before we continue with the next step of the dish. So I will let this cook until the cabbage has reduced. My cabbage has been cooking now with the carrots for about 10 minutes, and it has reduced quite significantly. And to this I will be adding in my tofu, and I will let this cook for about 5 minutes more before I layer it for the biryani. So I will just mix the tofu in and let that simmer for another 5 minutes before I complete the dish. Now my tofu has been simmering for the past 5 minutes, and I will remove 3/4 of my curry paste because I will be layering my biryani with alternate layers of rice, curry and chickpeas. So I'll just keep this aside, and I'll just spread this out a bit. And to this I'll be adding some of my black chickpeas, and then I will be adding in my rice. And you continue this layer until all your rice and curry has been layered. Now my biryani has been layered with alternate layers of curry, black chickpeas and rice, and now I will be adding in my roasted potatoes, and you can see that beautiful color from the egg yellow food coloring. And you just need to ensure this is evenly spaced out, and I will be sprinkling my last lot of black chickpeas. Well, it's more brown chickpeas, but the can says black chickpeas. I will be pouring over my saffron water, beautiful aroma. I will be adding in my vegan butter. Now that is just to ensure that the moisture is retained, and I will be garnishing it with coriander. Now this is not yet completed because this biryani would need to steam, so I will be covering it with foil and I will be leaving it on the heat on the lowest possible setting for about 15 minutes before I serve this. Now my biryani has been steaming for about 20 minutes, and I have done this on the stove top. You could do this in the oven if you would prefer. And I have turned my heat down, and this is now ready to serve. And there you have it, tofu biryani.